backfire?
Probably about to have to get active.
Excuse me. Okay, you know it's a good time when we're getting into the truck. No, it's not rotary swapped, but we're gonna go pick up a front bumper for the 3-rotor. Not a huge, crazy thing, but it is to me emotionally because my last one got thrown out by people I won't mention. It's finally time to finish the 3-rotor like we did with the rotary vet. I don't even know who I am anymore. Okay, well that's a pleasant surprise. God, I really want the Turbo 2. It's a GXL, but it's got a hood for a Turbo 2. Ugh.
That's clean.
I need a moment. Many of you might not know this, but my first car was a GXL, and so this is kind of what I dreamed about many years ago, was having it's an NA. It should be an NA, maybe they swapped it to turbo, but that was 88 GXL. And I wanted to do all those cool things to it, but I couldn't afford it. But at least somebody did.
Oh, yeah.
It cost me a lot. Yes, people assume that you pop it out of voltage and shit. I would have assumed that, yeah. This is super exciting. I ordered feed, style front fenders and side skirts for the 2-rotor years ago, and it came from here. And coincidentally, our shop isn't that far away, but we have a new front bumper for the 3-rotor right there. Oh, yeah. Because I destroyed the first one. I cut it. It got hit and it ripped it in half here. And so we tried reinforcing it, and then I took it off for a dyno session, and they threw it out. So, finally, I pulled it. Love it. Time to take her back to the shop. Okay, now that we've got this thing unboxed back home, something I noticed that they did on this one is added another layer of carbon for extra rigidity that I did not have on my old one. And so you can see the carbon right there. So that makes sense. And this is much stronger than it was on the previous one. And they did that all the way around the edge. I'm very pleased with that because the FDs, I guess most cars, front bumpers suck. I don't know, just front bumpers suck in general. But I know for a fact this won't fit because we have a front intercooler that is in the way, but at least we can see what it'll look like. No, actually, you know what, 4-rotor, it's too close. Okay, well that, just kidding, it fits almost perfectly. All of the skills I've learned from Isaiah and all the things I've picked up along the way allows me to do a lot of good to the 3-rotor. Something I've wanted to do for a long time is get the hot air away from the front of the turbo. The original way this was is that there was a radiator line right up at this top corner. It used to be up here, it used to be out here, all this weird stuff. We're moving it lower and out on an angle, little dingus sitting down here, and airflow is a lot better. For those of you wondering, you have to have something at the top of the radiator to get the air out. So I have an MPT port I welded here. It's going to run to here, so the air all comes to the top up here. So you don't have to have your radiator line all the way up there. So we've got that. We've welded it so that way it's now sitting vertical, and we've got these little arms here so we can just drop it in. That allows us to run this power steering pump on that angle. There wasn't enough room for the second pulley. We've now got the DC power sexy alternator on, and it's got already has the larger pulley with part of my logo etched into it, and that will allow us to run that. Let's just do a little bit of welding porn. Not that my welding's good, but it looks cool in slow-mo, and we'll modify this radiator to my heart's content. In honor of Isaiah not being here, this is my best and probably also my worst aluminum welding, but I gotta do what Isaiah does. Flaccid. That's all I got, Isaiah, I'm sorry. I couldn't get it harder, but it looks good. We're gonna take this guy. Again, we're not using super fancy stuff. This is all, we actually have been doing AutoZone and Murray's runs, O'Reilly's. So we'll put this one on here, this one here. I just showed Joel this instead of the flathead trick is using a 5/16 life changer. And you don't ratchet these on. Like you're doing it hand tight. Otherwise you start having rubber pouring through there. This one actually fits better with the radiator like this. When you're a horrible fabricator like me, This is an absolutely important tool for your water system. It's basically just a penis pump that goes on and you pressurize your system. I wish they also made a vacuum system for like actually pulling air out of the system, but we're gonna pump it up to about 15 PSI and then let it sit for the next half hour. And if it moves down from 15 PSI, my welds are leaking, or the hoses are leaking, or the block's leaking, or something along those lines is happening. So we're doing it with air because that way I can weld it. So it's gonna take a lot longer to start. It's easier from this way.
Whoa.
Yeah, okay. Like I sped up twice as quick.
Not gonna ask why.
Unfortunately, we've moved the car around a little bit because I've had to weld some spots that in the cast that were really too thin, and I'm still hearing something leaking. It's holding pressure much better, but there's a small leak somewhere. Thankfully, the last leak was just one of these clamps that, they were tight, but it wasn't tight enough. I've cleaned up a lot of the cast, it's just cast aluminum, it's a pain in the ass. And then the last leak we're getting is out of this thing itself. So I'm not too impressed with Snap-on. I've never been, but right now it's not doing me any good. So we're just gonna go ahead and fill this whole system up with water and pressurize it one more time and just listen. So I feel confident enough to waste some of my beautiful liquid gold onto this engine. I feel like it's not gonna have to be taken back out. We are gonna use the rest of just water just to see how this thing responds. Since we put all those holes in the thermostat, you can hear this. You can hear it draining into the block with the thermostat in, which is such a relief because I've overheated this car a couple times because it's just not an easy process. Oh, there we go, we're close. There's still air in the top of this because at the best it can get to here. So this line that I have from here to here hasn't been ran yet. We should be able to take this and you should watch this go down. But at some point we should see water and coolant come out of the top of the radiator. And this is working really well because remember it looked like it was full.
There you go.
There we go. So I had our faceless videographer do his first circuit. It's the fan for the radiator. So we're gonna go ahead and test it by grounding the signal wire. And if that works, if that whole system works, just a relay in the fan, if that system works, we can now terminate that into the ECU, and now the ECU can turn on and off the fan as it sees fit. So let's see how good Joel did. Car's on. Here's the moment of truth. Let's see if the fan turns on.
Yeah.
You can hear the clicking right here. We set up a simple 30 amp relay. So when I ground this wire from the ECU, it takes no amperage, no power to turn this line on and off, and it clicks the little relay right there. And then that relay sends the heavy duty power down to the fan. Fuel Tech sent over their little nano wideband O2 sensor, and while it seems awesome, I wish it was a circle. It's a rectangle, so I don't have a cool place to put it, but I don't have anything plugged into that. EO2 must be no wideband because here I have it. This wideband sensor is 17014, and that's not supplied with the kit, but that, if you're wondering, is that AutoZone, O'Reilly's and whatnot, and that's for an 04 to 06 Rolls-Royce Wraith. It's OEE equipment, so they have to have it. And quite frankly, it's one of the cheaper price-wise, not performance-wise. It has to perform the same way, but it's one of the cheaper options because normally they're like 90, 120 bucks. So wideband, not a narrowband O2 sensor. So it's got the little heater element inside of it, and then it makes good decisions for you. So we're gonna put this infamous thing into the downpipe and then connect it to that sensor. I know that this car's running really, really rich, but I don't know how rich. So I don't think I have my Fuel Tech set up for it. It should be on its own Fuel Tech CAN bus. 059 to 110, which is what I want. Heating, yeah, so it's working. Let's see if I can set it up for here. So it should be the CAN bus. Cylinder, it says cylinder 1, 2, 3. So I just set the wideband. And I set the CAN bus as the input. So that should be the new sensor. Maybe dashboard. Let's see if it. O2. And yeah, we should be reading really high numbers because we have tons of oxygen. We are doing last second checks making sure all the oil lines are all tightened up for this, but we've wheeled her, she's up on those little wheel dollies, so we've wheeled her right out. We're gonna try and really reduce the amount of fuel this thing's kicking out on start because it's going with way too much fuel and flooding itself out. It is cold right now, and that's gonna make it even harder to start at E85, but we'll take baby steps. We've got the alternator working, the water system's working, we've got the wideband working, so we should be able to see something happening. We put all the intercooler piping back on, and we have duct tape on one of the lower ones because we don't have the silicone hose for it, but we'll switch over to a vibrant clamp for that. Here comes the moment. It's cold out. It's like 50 degrees, which sucks for E85. That is one major negative to E85, but we're gonna go ahead and try and start it. I've removed tons of fuel so it doesn't flood itself. Hopefully it'll help heat up. Yeah, it's literally at 51 degrees, but so we'll see if that helps start it. We have one shot tonight. If not, if you hear it flood, not go and start. This video is going to continue for you in a couple moments tomorrow. So we'll see. I'm going to turn on the data logging and let's see what happens. Man, I turned as much as I could of that off.
Wow.
We're going to wait till tomorrow. We'll let everything warm up and get it all good because it's just too cold. We're fighting the cold. It is now the next day. I have not deflooded it, so we're gonna try it real quick, see if it works. If it doesn't, we'll deflood it. Come on, baby. Do the locomotion. Okay, time to deflood it. The deflooding process is actually pretty easy. I like to take off the primary or lead-in plugs just because they have a larger hole to the inside of the combustion chamber. I don't really see much on them. I took so much fuel out of there, you'd think it'd be the opposite, but the wideband was telling us that they were, in fact. So we'll take all three off, and then we'll just turn the thing over, and you should see some serious vapor, which is actually fuel vapor, kick out. I'm gonna short just the starter relay. You should hear it start over, but we don't want it to ignite. Otherwise it'd just be scary, and if Andrew was here, he'd be screaming about fire. This is very loud. There you go. That's ethanol and premix all mixed in there, but if you were to light that on fire, that's probably the most dangerous vapor you can have, because that's the whole point, air and fuel mixed together. I'm so excited to get this thing just idling. We finally have a clean shot at this. I have a feeling it'll at least start up, and then we'll see. I can't control the throttle, but it's better than nothing. Hopefully the wideband will tell us what's going on.
One eternity later.
Okay, I'm ready for you. So there you heard the beginning sounds. We plugged a lot of the leaks. I'm gonna go ahead and look at the data logger, look at the air-fuel ratio, look at everything before we go any further. I just downloaded the log. It's my first time kind of looking at these logs. And we see a lot of interesting information. So the green line is RPMs, so you can, as we heard, I'm looking for the oxygen sensor, which appears to only come online until back here. And it does tell us that, yeah, we were at 0.8 to 0.9 lambda, so that's the car can idle in that range. So that's good. Interesting that the car started to turn off the moment I flicked the throttle. But just learning a lot about what's going on here. It gets close to dying a couple times. -3 psi when it's idling here. It gets down to 3.7. I'll have to see what that means in inches of mercury, because that's the number I'm used to. It even gets as low as -5.8, which I know is good. And that was when it was at 2,400 RPM. So I think she's pulling a decent vacuum. Again, she's hot off the press right now. We gotta break her in nice and gently, but she didn't want to start after that one. I want to give a huge shout out to Elliot White from Turboloan for this. He's the one who introduced me to this one simple sensor that changed this car and has made the 4-rotor what it is, to be honest, is fuel pressure. So remember, we're only running off of the little baby tank. Look at this, my fuel pressure sensor. Good. I'm out of here. And then that's when the car died off. I wonder what the problem was. Time to add more fuel. So we topped off the little baby tank in the back, checked everything else, and go ahead and click it once on. There's fuel. We're gonna go ahead and log it, and then fire it up. Excuse me, is that your car? Hi. Yeah, be careful. Yeah, no, thank God that was the glass. I thought so. I saw little paw prints right here. You're lucky you're cute. Speaking of treating this car nice, which is not what I said earlier, but we're treating this car nice. This is a new throttle cable. The one for the 3-rotor is actually on the rotary vet. So that one has rust, it's been bent and beaten up. This is a brand new OEM FD throttle cable. Oh my God, even the rubber feels all brand new. So what we have to do, this end here goes to the pedal. That hooks into the pedal part, and then this, you're pushing on the pedal, and that's pulling this cable out like this, right? Well, this end, we have to have a little hook like this, and then this end goes to the throttle, and it kind of hooks up like that. We have to make this hook. This hook does not exist on this car because it's a 3-rotor, and it wouldn't go in the right spot, but I'll show you what I'm talking about. I feel like a flight attendant where I've got like an example of what I'm supposed to do. So, please secure your own throttle body before helping others. That's kind of what this is. This is for a Cosmo, but what you can see here is that this metal bracket holds this rubberized piece in place, and you adjust it with these 2 nuts. And of course you tighten it with these 2 nuts, but you actually can adjust it and move this stalk, the body, back and forth. And then of course this hooks up and goes over. So we need to make this kind of like gun sight right there. We make that for this engine bay. The issue is this is a 20B, so it has to go under here somewhere. You can see I'll hook it up around like this. So there you go. There's how it has to be. And so this will stay here. And that's the mechanism that'll go. The previous owner had a thing kind of bolted to this that had like tons of bolts and weird shit all under here. We're gonna have to make something. We're gonna make it out of one piece of steel. We can weld it if we need to. Cut it. We're gonna have to definitely cut the hole properly, and then we can bolt it to this thing so it's removable, but it'll be one big piece, non-adjustable. This end goes into the firewall right here. There's actually a straight up a square that you plug into, and then this end goes to the pedal. So we'll go ahead and do that right now. Thankfully, a benefit to keeping this car somewhat stock. And there we go. So we'll do this, something like that. Okay, so we're gonna measure from our mounting point to the center of mounting point. We got multiple mounting points in here. Roughly, almost exactly 3 inches. So we'll just say 3 inches. Okay, so we found this little piece of metal, and we saw, first of all, 063. Now I bought a bunch of scrap metal, but I was like, Andrew, let's see if this is magnetic. It's not magnetic. So I was like, okay, maybe that is titanium or aluminum or stainless. And then I said, hey, look up this 4911. Maybe that's an aluminum series, and it's not. This is titanium. We're never going to use this little thing for anything else. But then the next question was, can you bend titanium? And the answer is absolutely not. Not even remotely close. What we're going to try doing, because I still want to have the flexing of having a titanium throttle cable holder, we're going to cut out the first 2 pieces, weld them. So I'm going to try welding titanium without Isaiah here. And then if that works, we'll add the 3rd little brace. So we'll have the sickest thing that nobody will ever see.
Killing the game.
Killing the game. Nobody else has titanium throttle cable holders. So this is my first time drilling or doing anything to titanium, but we're gonna go ahead and try drilling it and see what happens. Prepared these as best as I can. You got this piece here, and I'm gonna try and tack it in on the inside there. I'm gonna try and weld it from the outside there because it's more aesthetic looking. Let's see how well I did. Isaiah gave me the opportunity to learn how to tack in titanium, and my God, is it an amazing metal. That's the beginning. First time actually welding titanium, and I did my best. I can always improve, but that is so sick. Be too safe around these machines. You wear your helmet at all times. I got excited, okay, and I came over here and I still have my gloves on and everything. I'm gonna take my gloves off because I'm not using the bandsaw yet, but people will freak out, understandably. Let's look at the good weld. Let's focus on that, okay? We're gonna use this triangle piece to make sweet love to rigidity. That's what you want, because right now it's gonna bolt to these two spots here, and this will work. Yeah, you can see it, but it's not flexing. It's fucking titanium, but still.
Why not?
Why not? Trim it down. Started from this side and then really got into my groove right there. And then of course the corners started getting really hot, but right there, that's my favorite area. So here at Dahm Racing, we don't worry about performance, we worry about the scene points. And so all the guys here were already talking about blazing it, but then I realized they actually were this time talking about this piece. So we are going to make some color. I have no idea how to do this, and I'm not even gonna look it up. That way I can prevent them from asking me again. So. We want blue. I'm going to show you the pretty side. So we'll test fit this, and so far it's looking pretty good. My goal is to make sure that this thing does not move. And so we use, okay, Andrew got excited, and those are too long for that. But that's not really in the way of anything, so we'll stick with this. I'm super excited to see this in action. Okay. That obviously I'm not selling this isn't trying to prove anything, but I'm very happy with that. So now when I press that pedal, I'm getting very honestly the most crisp throttle response I can from the stock throttle body with a 20B. We now have the throttle cable in the good spot. We'll go ahead and put it all the way around. So it's gonna hook around like this onto that, and then this will go in there, and then see the little metal sleeve that will go inside of there, so it really locks that in. And we'll get this as pulled back as far as possible, so we'll go till we see the throttle get some tension. Pop that out like that, and we'll tighten the other one. Now the movement you're seeing is actually the whole throttle body is not tightened in, just test fitting. Not only do we have it being squished in like that, but it's also being held in from the center part, and that is it. So it is now time to test this. I'm gonna go ahead and step on the pedal and see what happens.
Nice.
no gas, full gas, no gas, half gas, full gas. Yeah, you can see the bottom one is the primary runners, and then the second top two is actually the secondary runners. And so they open up slightly delayed, and that's where the semi-PP is on the top two. Just asked if there's any last words I have for this moment, and all I can say is I hope. I'm not used to sitting in these comfortable city seats. We're just beginning to hear the exhaust sounds. It sounds totally different to me, and I need to make sure that that's not a problem. But we've got exhaust leaks. The guys didn't put on the downpipe properly, and so you can hear it coming from multiple sources. So keep that in mind when you're listening to that, because I'm very aware of that sound. We were extremely rich. We still are. I'm gonna let her get up to temp, and then just do a real quick loop around and bring her back in, and then do a health check. But wow, 3 rotors, just always sound amazing. The car already, first of all, does not like to idle at the old 900 RPM range. It's definitely gulping in more air. And again, this is my first time ever dealing with a semi-peripheral. I don't know if it's good or not. So we're gonna raise the idle. It looks like about 1400 was what I was bouncing it at when you guys heard me. That was me just playing with the throttle. So sometimes things don't work out to your advantage, at least at first you think. As we pushed it in, you know, you just look down here, you're like, that's a sexy ass, and then you look a little bit lower, and you realize there are fuel lines and battery lines that are literally dragging on the ground, and just waiting for that little rock or whatever to yank them out. That could have ended badly. So, you know, it's worth watching out for us.
Got that one.
So promising.
We might get the cops called.
Oh, is that police?
Yeah.
Film it. Not the first time that's happened.
What happened?
Oh, it's just the car backfiring trying to start.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to tune it. We do a lot of tuning, and this one's just not firing right.
Oh, okay.
That's a backfire?
Yeah.
Probably about to have to get active.
This car specifically, I got that one. That one doesn't backfire like that at all. This one, every time. Do it again.
Holy shit.
It's a rotary engine, so it's, you know, not a normal engine, but this one I've had for probably 12 years, and it's really rough. The engine's really rough, so we're not getting cold starts, we're not getting any of that sort of stuff. But like, you know, the other ones we have are twice as powerful as this car, but new, so they start much easier.
What's the horsepower?
This one's 1,000, and so yeah, last time I had it was 990 and change. Yeah, yeah. If you got a second, yeah, if you got a second, check this out.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so this is the bigger version of that one. I raced, you know, Ken Block? Yeah, yeah, I raced Ken Block last month. There was good luck. Yeah, that was it. That was meant to be.
There you go.
All right, Joe. Okay, guys, thank you
All right,
so
guys.
much.
Okay.
That the last time that happened, I was wearing a tutu.
Oh, the picture?
Yeah. Oh, no, I came out of the car and I was wearing a tutu, and the cop was like, I don't want to know what's going on. So, oh my God, that was our good luck charm.